the past life itself isn't what's impacting you in your life today. It's the way that past life made you feel. That's the energy that we're talking about when we're talking about energy medicine. That's the rocks in your pockets that you're bringing with you over many lifetimes. It's guilt, it's shame, it's fear, it's also love and passion and joy. And so one of the things that I think goes with that heart-opening exercise that I do is that we really want to have this come from an emotional place, because that's how we pull that energy up so we can release it, let it go, and it's gone.
Welcome to Signs from the Other Side with Fern Ronay. I'm your host, Fern Ronay, and this is the place to share stories of signs and messages received from the other side. Real quick before we get started, if you enjoy reading about signs and if you enjoy fiction like Bridget Jones and Sex and the City, you might enjoy my books, Better in the Morning and Better Believe It. And if you like this podcast, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe in Apple Podcasts and tell a friend too. Thank you so much for listening, and on to the show. She is known as Past Life Michelle on social media because she is the person to go to for all things past lives. Michelle Brock literally wrote the book on this. The aptly named Who Do You Think You Are is available wherever books are sold and perfectly explains reincarnation. We're going to talk about that and her extraordinary journey. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I was lucky enough to get a past life regression with you, and it was remarkable. And I had some major revelations, and, it was a lot to process. And then over time, over the next couple of weeks, and I've learned this is very common, things came up and big revelations came up. So it was amazing. It was wonderful. The other common thing is beforehand, my cousin said, maybe you were royal in a past life. I was like, maybe. I've come to learn that everyone thinks that. And then it's like, well, not really. For me, the lives I was supposed to see were not those. And then also beforehand, I was like, I hope I wasn't a bad person in the past life. I know that's pretty common too. People worry about that.
Yeah.
I, as it turned out, was none of those things. And it was actually, on the surface, looked like pretty uneventful lives, but definitely things I was supposed to see and learn. So the first one, we went back, and it was 1860s England. And hearing that, I was like, if I had heard that beforehand, I'd be like, of course, like I'm obsessed with that time period, and I'm obsessed with England. But it wasn't exactly the kind of Bridgerton life that I would have imagined. Yeah. I was at a party, and I was in a dress that would for the time period, and my mom was my mom now, and at the time in this life she was pressuring me, because the life that was laid out for you is you meet a husband. So that's what I was there to do, and all I could think at the party was, I just want to go home and read a book. I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk to these people. I don't want to do this. And I felt a lot of pressure. And you said, what does the book look like? Afterwards, I Googled what a green book with gold writing, 1860s England. And I found a green book. The writing's kind of gold, silver, and it's Shakespeare. And I'm not a huge Shakespeare fan. My brother is. But I feel like I found the book, and I just wanted to go home and read. I didn't want to be there.
Wow. I love it. So there's a book that was printed at the time that looked like what you described. That was a work of Shakespeare. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and I know that's one of the things that you do. You say identify an object or something just to bring you into the space.
Yeah,
and
because it's little moments like that where you can kind of validate things historically that end up being deeply meaningful if you can find them. They're little breadcrumbs we drop during the process. So that was one of them. I'm so glad you followed up on that. I love it. Yeah.
And so that life continued, and I did end up getting married, and that person passed. It wasn't a great love affair, but I was lucky enough that he was kind. So that was good.
I think you were something like, yeah, he's okay. He was all right.
And so then
I wasn't in mortal danger by this man.
So I really lucked out.
Yeah.
And then in that life, I passed alone. I think I was sad about it. I was like, what's God supposed to show me? And then we went back even further, and I was in the 1600s in Denmark, and I loved my family, and I loved our little house and our little world. And then eventually they passed, and I didn't venture out. I didn't try to meet people or go, like, I had no recollection of like going to the village or how I made money or how I survived. And I died in that life alone too. I felt like I was getting the message, like, you have to find your people. And so all of this was like kind of gelling. And so afterwards, when I wrote about it in my journal right away, I was unsure of what I was supposed to learn, but then it gelled. So a week later, my husband's on a business trip. I have to go to a birthday party by myself, which no one wants to do, but I did. And I had the best time. I didn't want to leave. And
Aw.
yeah, I was like, and I actually talked about the past life regression at the party, and I felt like, okay, so maybe this is the lesson that I have to put myself out there more, as much as I love our little world, my husband and I. But then it's like sometimes something's staring you in the face and it's so obvious and then you just miss it. I have on my phone in capital letters, it says, "It is safe to be seen." It is something I've been working on for so long. And my therapist knows about it. And we talk about how I'll post something on TikTok and then I'm like, I don't want anybody to see it. And I'm subconsciously
Wow.
hiding myself from ridicule, from people who don't understand what we talk about and believe. And I have to hypnotize myself to believe that it is safe to be seen. And I'm trying. And I was like, if I was going to see two lives that taught me it is safe to be seen, and you're not going to learn the lessons you're supposed to learn if you stay in your little Danish village or your little Danish house and not even go to the village.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. And people find that strange to believe because I grew up in New Jersey and I've lived in many different places and I have a podcast but there is an aspect of me that's very much holding me back because I am afraid of being misunderstood. I'm trying to find my community, find your people. I'm trying, but it can be scary.
Like sometimes you got to put down the book and go to the dance.
Yes.
Right?
I feel like, alone time is great. And if you like your own company, that's wonderful. But if you're doing it to hide and out of fear, that's where you're going to inhibit the lessons you're supposed to learn. Like if I found someone at the party who also liked that book, I would have had a very different experience. I might have actually married the love of my life.
Right. I was just going to say, because I remember when you said that you died alone and you were kind of having a minute, like thinking about the way that you connect with other people, right? Like to be open to different types of connections or something like that.
Yeah.
That, you in this life, you're married to someone that you have much more profound and deeper connection with, right? But that not all connections need to knock your socks off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it incredible how these stories come out and they're in different time periods and they always make sense in the cultural context at the time period, even if you don't know that culture, but that there's always this like little takeaway, right? That you can apply it to your life right now that is not anything you would have thought or made up or right. Like it's so interesting how no matter what comes up, there's always some relevance to your life today.
Yes.
No matter how many times we do that, nobody's ever been like, I don't know what that means.
Right. Right.
It's usually pretty obvious, but there's always layers of it as well. So yeah, I thought that was amazing.
It's so interesting. We talked about this on the Evolve Live. My mom, who I love, she's wonderful. She's one of my soulmates. We talked about that. In that life, I felt her pressuring me to meet a husband. In this life, she wasn't like that, thank God. But I told this story about how in 8th grade, this boy kept calling me, and I did not like him. I was not attracted to him. I hope he's living a wonderful life and is happy, and God bless him. But like, you can't help who you're attracted to. And I didn't like him. And he kept calling constantly and constantly and constantly. And my mother made me talk to him. She was like, you have to be polite. You can't be rude. You have to talk to him on the phone. And I remember seeing a tweet once that said, it was this guy who said, my nephew asked this girl out and she said no. And so what's the lesson? And a lot of people wrote like, try again. And he said, no, the lesson is she said no, respect her response and move on.
Right.
And so if I had in my next life, me and my mom in my next life, I'm going to not repeat that lesson because I learned it here. I am true to myself. I respect my decisions, my thoughts, my feelings, and
Yep.
that's okay. Yes.
This is what I said, and this is why I said it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Boundaries.
Boundaries, exactly. Didn't have them then, didn't have them part of this life, but I have them now.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people that I work with that have are either introverts or have introvert tendencies are working on boundaries. And so maybe it's like you choose that kind of personality quality in order to kind of give yourself more of a drive to do that, where it physically hurts me if I don't, right?
Right.
Because and some lifetimes we're supposed to be extroverts in order to learn how to put ourselves out there in different ways. They're both important. One is not superior to the other, but a lot of people I work with that are introverts are working on boundaries in this lifetime. So that's a really interesting kind of connection where it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you if you don't,
Right,
So,
right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so important. Yes. I loved the handwritten notes. I loved your handwriting. You think it's sloppy. I think you have wonderful handwriting. And you drew hearts. Can you talk about the hearts?
Yeah, so I always take notes. Well, I always teach with a pen. I'm always holding a pen. In fact, I have one right here. I click the pen. It's kind of like something I do. But while people are having the experience, I take kind of shorthand notes. But as we start the meditation process, I start writing little hearts around their name. And that to me feels like a kind of a heart opening. And the way that started was the very first past life regression I did, which we talked about on the first episode with Brian Weiss. As I was sitting there and he was like, oh, I'm going to choose someone from the audience, I had this piece of paper and I just started sketching little hearts, little hearts, little hearts, little hearts. And then he picked me. And so since then, that's become kind of my little ritual with people. Your eyes are closed, you're breathing. I'm guiding you through this really relaxing meditation as I'm kind of sketching all these little hearts. And it really just helps me keep the focus on what it really is about, which is that how can I be of service to you? How can I help you? How can I show you things that are going to, bring more love, joy, peace, healing? I mean, being a healer is the ultimate service industry, but it keeps it kind of from a place of my heart, where from genuine love and compassion for the person that I'm working with. And, I just, again, it's a little ritual I have. And, there have probably been people that see that and are like, is she hitting on me? What is she? Because it is. I just keep writing the hearts until I feel your heart's open and my heart's open. I just think that that's a little energetic way that I kind of open space when I'm working with a client.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of psychics, I think Pam Sears, draw a circle. It's their way of getting into that space. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes
so that's
sense.
my version of that. Yeah.
I know it was such an emotional experience. Crying is probably, no one should be embarrassed. Let it out. It's probably very common.
It is really common because the past life itself isn't what's impacting you in your life today. It's the way that past life made you feel. That's the energy that we're talking about when we're talking about energy medicine. That's the rocks in your pockets that you're bringing with you over many lifetimes. It's guilt, it's shame, it's fear, it's also love and passion and joy. And so one of the things that I think goes with that heart-opening exercise that I do is that we really want to have this come from an emotional place, because that's how we pull that energy up. It's not like we're trying to look into your past life death in order to find some morbid thing, right? We're bringing it up so we can release it, let it go, and it's gone. That's super, super important to me. Like, I'm never going to bring something up with somebody that we're not going to clear. But that release can be emotional, right? And also seeing your spirit guides, your loved ones who have passed is emotional, right?
Yes.
And this varies depending on different people's personalities. I mean, I get people that are like, well, this is making me feel really sad right now, and that's just their personality.
Right.
Where other people are, literally like Kleenex after Kleenex wiping tears. All I ask is that people don't avoid the emotion with it, because sometimes we get stuck in the story. And we talked about this in the first episode. It's not about the story. It's the way you're carrying that story and embodying that story, which is generally emotional. And so when the healing occurs at the level of spirit, the mind and the body will follow. That's why people who have struggled with depression for years do one past life regression and are like, well, it's kind of gone. Or even chronic pain, people that have physical conditions that are related to past life illnesses or injuries, they're able to actually release those from their body. It's incredible to me. I'm in awe of it as much as they are when it happens.
Yes.
But it's because our emotions are connected to our soul. That's that inner piece of us. Yes, our mind is as well. But when we're doing energy work, it's always, always emotional. That's how I know we hit on something too. That's the pay dirt for me as a healer.
Yes.
If you're crying, I'm like, yeah, we got something.
It makes
no
so
one's
much
ever
sense.
felt worse after working with me too, People feel better, right? Because we want to, like I said, it's about clearing it out and getting rid of it.
That makes so much sense. So no one should worry about seeing a past life and seeing you do something bad. You're not that person anymore. But you might be carrying those feelings. So if you tap into that past life, clear it, you're going to feel 1,000 times better. Don't worry about the judgment of who you were really in a past life.
I mean, a couple of thoughts on that. Like, first of all, it's not reliving it, it's remembering it, which is a lot different. Which is why if something traumatic does come up, you're kind of able to be like, yes, it's intense, but you're not living through it again. You're not re-traumatizing yourself by like going through all of your past life stuff. And as far as not being that person anymore, the conscious mind, which is the part of you that understands like, this is who I am today, is always present. So it's almost like this kind of like observer that's looking and going, oh, this is really weird. Huh. I guess I was a man in a past life, right? Or you're able to kind of have that narrative. And so the person you are today is able to look back at yourself, almost like seeing yourself in kindergarten, right?
Yes.
That happened to me the very first past life regression I did, the one that's in Miracles Happen on stage with Brian Weiss, where I'm like watching myself after my wife died and I'm like ignoring my children, right? And I'm sitting there just indulging myself in like staring at the wall all day because I lost my wife and boohoo me. And I'm sitting there going, I'm mad at myself. What am I doing? Get up and live, right? And I was able to have that dual perspective. And that's why a past life regression is such a powerful tool for healing and transformation, because the part of you that understands who you are today never goes away. You're always present. And that's how you're able to release it, not just emotionally, but also intellectually. You're like, oh, that was a past life. I should have done this different, right? So it kind of works on so many different levels. It's incredible how it works.
Yes, it definitely works. I will say that for sure. I was really blown away, and when you let it marinate after, and then this light bulb went off.
It's normal for it to take a couple weeks, if not months afterwards, to really knit it all together into, a usable piece of information. That's totally normal because it's a lot. It's a lot of information.
Yes.
In a short period of time.
Yes. So again, where can everyone find you to book a past life regression?
My website is michelle-brock.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm Past Life Michelle. And you can also find me on Evolve Plus. I'm one of the verified creators there. And we go live every month and do group past life regressions. So I hope you check out all the places you can find me and connect with me. And if you'd like to work with me, I'd love that too.
And where can everyone find your wonderful book?
So my book, which is actually right here, it's called Who Do You Think You Are? An Interactive Journey Through Your Past Lives and Into Your Best Future. You can find it anywhere that you like to buy books. It's also available in audiobook form. It's also available in Germany in the German language and in Portuguese in Brazil so far.
Nice.
Working on a Spanish language version to come soon. It's in the UK, Australia. So yeah, it's been a really exciting journey, but you can find it pretty much anywhere you like to buy books.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much for listening to Signs from the Other Side. You can find me, Fern Ronay, on all social media at Fern Ronay, Ronay. I love hearing from you and I love hearing your stories of signs. And if you would like to hear more episodes of this show, please be sure to subscribe in Apple Podcasts. Thank you again and sweet dreams.